Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome to Great Shot, Kid, the podcast on the Nerd Party Network that looks at the behind-the-scenes and technical aspects of all of the films that you love to watch and talk about. I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
And we are, of course, coming at you from the Nerd Party. You can go to thenerdparty.com/contact, look up a Great Shot, Kid, and go ahead and drop us a line. You can also go over on Twitter at Join Nerd Party, use the hashtag Great Shot, Kid, and let us know you're thinking of us, and go over to Facebook or Instagram where you can find us as The Nerd Party. Now, we are going to kick things off this week because the day that we are recording, the new rumor has broken, Mike. The new rumor has broken about Episode 9, that a big name is tied with Episode 9, Billy Dee Williams.
Oh, is that what it was? Because I saw a headline which said, could a new old character be coming to Episode 9? And I thought, I suppose he could. I don't know. Ooh.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in a few years.
Yeah. So there's your rumor.
I mean, that's obviously, that would be cool and everything like that. And, you hear the stories about how, like, Benicio del Toro's character was initially sort of envisioned as Lando, or to be Lando and everything, which you can totally tell why they didn't do that because it doesn't fit at all. But,
Correct.
It's like I'm totally down for that, although someone randomly on the internet said one random thing which now ruins anything involving Lando, which is not this. Someone was like, they need to do a Lando movie in the style of Godfather 2 with Billy Dee Williams and Donald Glover in flashback, in flash forward.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yes.
I would love the heck out of that. That would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want that now, too.
Right.
Why did you share it with me? Why did you do that to me? That's not fair, man. I was living perfectly happy until you said that. Now I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, oh, wow, yeah, that'd be really cool. I could do... And... for anybody that would say, like, well, they don't look exactly alike. Yeah, Robert De Niro doesn't exactly look like a young Marlon Brando either.
Yeah.
And you're left there if you really stare at The Godfather Part 2. Did he get the mole removed? Did it get shot off? What happened there? But, wow, that would be a tremendous film to watch. I would be so interested in that.
Speaking of Robert De Niro, since we're talking about weird rulers and everything, did you hear this rumor from some random place, which probably isn't true at all?
No.
They are pursuing Robert De Niro to be in this Joker movie that they're doing with Joaquin Phoenix.
That's bold.
Yeah.
That's really, really bold.
I mean, I know Scorsese's producing, but still,
Well, I mean, that instantly puts De Niro's name in the ring. It's... Yeah, I could see. I mean, the thing is, if they're going to follow the idea of doing something that ties him to the mob, I mean, De Niro, I mean, that's just sort of like, in a sense, like a lazy thought process. But when somebody says mob movie, you tend to be like, De Niro. It just like pops in your brain.
Well, since they keep on saying, like, this movie is going to be like Taxi Driver, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean... Sure, why not? I mean, isn't this the cycle? I mean, even with the Billy Dee Williams rumor has a great amount of heft to it from my perspective because, I mean, the sequel trilogy has been all about bringing back the old characters and, giving them a swan song sometimes and stuff like that. I mean, I made a joke on Twitter with one of our mutual friends, and I said one ending idea is Billy Dee, pops into the room and says, "What did I miss?" And then the credits roll, and that's the end of episode 9. Or you can have, because he mentioned Nine Nub, you could have Lando and Nine Nub standing at all of the graves, just standing there looking at, and then they both look at each other, and Lando just says, "Honestly, I never thought we'd be the ones to survive. Credits roll.
So Nine Numb's still alive, right?
Yeah, they've said that's him in the in episodes 7 and 8.
And he didn't die in that thing, right?
I don't think so. I still have to go back and rewatch it, I guess. But I don't recall him dying. I know Akbar's dead now.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah.
But the thing is, everybody forgets about also Ten Nub, who was a B-Wing pilot in Return of the Jedi. 9, 10.
Yeah, I got it.
That's the names.
I got it. Was that yours or was
Nope.
that a real name?
That is a real name. That is
Is.
you can go look that. Well, because the thing is, they didn't name these characters with like any sense of. Look, when the prequels came about, Lucas was all about using in jokes because he knew people were going to pay attention to these characters, and so like Orn Free Ta was like how his son said corn fritter or something like that one time, and it's like, oh, Orn Free Ta, and those sorts of things. But back then, it was just like background creature number 12 and stuff like that.
And that's why you get like Snaggletooth and stuff like that, which is all good. But when you have like Porkins, whose canonical first name is now Jack.
Yes.
Because some random person, some random place heard someone who was saying eject say Jack in their weird mind. And all of a sudden his name is Jack Porkins. Because Porkins wouldn't be a nickname. It would actually be his last name. I
ignore that part of it, I guess, because if the name doesn't appear in the credits as that, I mean, the thing is, if you're going to go by credits names, Star Trek VI still has the most glaring credits error in the history of any science fiction film by listing Uhura as Uhuru. Still,
I don't remember that.
Oh yes, no. Look at the credits in Star Trek VI. That last letter should be an A, and it's a U.
The one I always think of is Raiders of the Lost Ark, because Sapito is listed as Satipo.
Well, I think they say it both ways in the film too, don't they?
I don't think so. I think it's just Sapito.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I know that definitely Indy says Sapito.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They screw. It's
and
funny.
You
because
never hear them say tote, but I think it's listed in the credits as tote.
Yes, it is listed and no, they never do say tote. Yeah, you're right. They don't. Although, of course, if we're going to be talking about credits, you always think about the fact that James Earl Jones didn't actually get a credit until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Although they've gone back and changed that in the special editions, and so yes, he does now. And what is reality anymore? Because things get blurred. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of Robert De Niro, I just because I'm doing this now. We've got the 10th anniversary of Dark Knight coming up soon, and I just randomly stumbled across a list of the movies which Christopher Nolan showed the crew.
Yeah.
Because apparently they did like a 2-day, essentially, film fest where they showed 4 movies a day. Nolan showed the cast and crew 4 movies a day to prepare for Dark Knight. I mean, that's a common thing. Like on Magnolia, they showed, like Network and Nashville and stuff like that. They do that stuff all the time. But yeah, so they had the list of like the 8 movies. So I'm like, oh, I'm just going to watch these. So I watched the first one, which was Heat.
Yeah.
Which I've only seen once all the way through, and it was years ago, probably like 15 years ago at this point. I was never like super impressed with it, and watching it this time, I was like, damn, like I finally see what everyone's been talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Mann's fingerprints are all over The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Like, really all
sure.
over it. And I love Heat. I remember I saw Heat in the theater the day after I had gotten my wisdom teeth extracted. So, yeah, I know, right? Oh, I'm hyped up on drugs and I'm bleeding off and on. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to go watch a 3.5-hour film with my brother. Yeah. But, yeah, it's just what we did. But, yeah, a testament to that film was I was into it from beginning to end, even though I'm, obviously in a slightly incapacitated state. And I adore that film. I absolutely adore Heat. That is, and it's funny because Michael Mann's another one that has very quietly done revisions to his films.
Yeah.
And gotten away with it without anybody, saying, you destroyed the original. And, yeah, you can tell the differences here and there. But he gets away with that all the time. But he's great.
There are times where people complain about him destroying the original. But, I mean, the other thing is he always kind of like keeps the original available. I mean, I remember him, he just recently he was talking, he's like, well, Heat, I never changed. But then he just released something where they changed like 2 things or something like that. But, like... The one that I always think of is Miami Vice, where it's like,
yeah, I still have to see that. You said there's like a whole different opening, but like the theatrical version works better, but
yeah,
it's better as a whole when it has the like if you, I think you said like if you have the director's cut without the different opening, it's a better film.
The opening is so weak on the director's cut. Like one of the things which struck me about that movie was, logo comes up, Universal, and then the Jay-Z Linkin Park mashup just crashes in with like a smash cut, and you are in the middle of this party, which is also like where there's some sort of like sting operation going on or whatever, and you're just in it, and it's like, wow, what a great opening. And they never even show the title. It never even says Miami Vice at the start of that movie. You don't see even the title until the end of the movie. You're just in it. And I thought that was so great. And when the director's cut came out, they have this whole thing where, what are the names of the characters? Crockett and
Tubbs, yeah.
I can't believe I knew that. They're in like a little like ski jet competition. And they're just like in like a race or whatever, like on a weekend. And then like after the race, they're like talking about like this, sting that they're going to do or something like that. And it's just like, what do you, and it's like Miami Vice, written and directed by, and it's just like, why are you doing this? I don't get it.
Well, I think that there's definitely something where I guess when you are watching footage over and over and over and over again, and you're editing and putting things together, you maybe come to that compromise moment that works really well. But then when you have time to chill out and say, oh, well, wait a minute, I can get my version here, and maybe you lose the perspective. It's sort of like, I mean, you've made allusion to this with Lucas, too, where it's like some of the changes you look at, it makes sense to you because you're like, yeah, that's just the sort of little tiny change that you'd make after, X, Y, or Z or something like that. Like it's a process change or I know I'm butchering the explanation, but you know what I'm saying. So maybe it's just that the filmmakers get way more, and I know that this will sound like a funny way to say it, but like way more dispassionate about certain things than the film viewer does. Mm-hmm. And is it possible that if you saw, like, he saw that version first, right? Yeah. Where he has the jet ski race and everything like that. Maybe that's the version he fell in love with. Yeah. And he's really sorry that you fell in love with that other version, but that was the version he wanted at all times to get into. So who has somebody that would stand at their right hand and stop them from, like when you get to the director's cut thing, is it maybe incumbent on directors to have, a no person sitting next to them? Somebody that makes them fight and think through and argue for all of the stuff that they want.
I would say ideally it would be the editor, right? I mean,
yeah. But and wouldn't they be involved in the director's cut?
Yeah.
So before you release a director's cut, shouldn't you have the editor come back in and say, no, actually, maybe this change was better this way?
Oh yeah, you would hope so. I mean, I'm guessing that it's weird because like director's cut has become, the term for like extended version or whatever. But
yeah.
Where the term comes from in the first place is like, the guild or whatever has negotiated that the director is contractually allowed to make their own cut before handing it off to the studio, right? So like the very first thing that happens, I mean, I guess the editor maybe does an editor's cut or whatever, but then the director goes in and makes a quote unquote director's cut, which they hand to the studio, and then the studio's like, okay, well, we're going to change all this, whatever it is, right? So like theoretically, I mean, every movie has a director's cut, but it comes earlier in the process, right? And lots of times that's not the finished cut of the movie because it is a process, and everything. But now it's become like another sort of, term, which is, it's just kind of a weird little thing that's happened, over the years. But yeah, I mean, I think probably a lot of directors' cuts are similar to the traditional director's cut, as it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can debate back and forth. I mean, if we're going to talk about director's cuts, I have only ever watched the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven because I was commanded to watch it by Nerd Party founder Tristan Riddell. And I've never watched the theatrical cut, and I'm almost afraid to watch the theatrical cut, specifically because I love the director's cut so much that I don't want to see a lesser version of it.
I've only seen the theatrical.
Really?
Yeah, I watched it in the theater, and I haven't seen it since. And I know
was that because you didn't like?
No,
you didn't like it?
It was fine. I mean, if you ask me, like, what's Kingdom of Heaven about? I'm like, it's got Orlando Bloom with a sword. It was directed by Ridley Scott. Am I right?
Those things do have to do with the film. Yes. Okay. I would invite you to watch it. I would really love to get your impression of maybe we could do some sort of thing down the road where I watch the theatrical and you watch the director's, and we see how our perception. But I just really don't want to watch the theatrical cut.
That's fair.
because I love the director's cut so much. Like, I don't want to sully my brain with any sort or confuse anything about what happens in the two of them, because there's I know for a fact, because I did a little reading on it, that there's a whole subplot in the director's cut that is completely excised from the theatrical version. But I think I understand why it was on an intellectual level, but on an emotional level, I never would have thought to cut it.
Yeah.
So
there are a number of movies where I've never seen the theatrical cuts. I've just seen the director's cuts, because if, I haven't seen a movie and there is a director's cut out there, that'll be the version that I watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued. I would love to see. It'll never ever happen, because I think is John McTiernan still in prison?
No, he's out of prison.
He's out? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would be so interesting because so much time has passed and there's such a storied, such a story behind the production of Last Action Hero. I'd love to see McTiernan go back and fix it.
That's not the movie I was thinking you were going to say.
Oh, what movie did you think?
Rollerball.
Oh, I've never seen that.
It's not nearly as bad as people say it is. I mean, people talk about that movie like it's the worst movie ever made.
Really?
And there is I think an unrated version or whatever, because I remember seeing that in the theater and thinking wow, because they cut it down. They shot it as an R, and then they were like, we wanted it to be PG-13. So there's and this is early aughts, and there's a lot of stuff where you can see that they CGI'd out blood on people's faces and stuff, and it looks really bad. But it's just, I mean, hearing the way that he talks about movies and stuff like that, and I mean, especially on that Die Hard commentary, and the idea he talked about how he watched a lot of foreign films when he was a kid, and he couldn't read the subtitles, and it sort of forced him to think about movies in terms of the visual storytelling and not
Sure.
necessarily the dialogue, and how he's talked about how, the medium should abandon, narrative structure and go for, a more abstract emotional form like classical music does. And that once people start doing that, then that's when you'll start getting the real masterpieces and stuff like that. And, as crazy as it's going to sound, like I kind of see Rollerball as being like that idea in motion. Like they kind of ruined it. Like, for example, he's like, I think he mentions on the Die Hard commentary, like there were a lot of, it's supposed to be like this international thing. So there's a lot of people speaking different languages, and he wasn't going to have any subtitles at all or anything like that. But then he, the studio completely butchered that movie. But
Die Hard?
No, Rollerball.
Okay,
sorry.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. Obviously, yes. Okay, yeah. See, it's interesting because for the people who think that Rollerball, would be an interesting director's cut, or that it was really bad, did they see the original? Did you see the original with James Caan?
I would say most people saw the original, and that was, I remember back at the time, they were like, the original is so much better, this is garbage. The original is not, the original may be remembered fondly, but it's not what everybody makes it out to be on the whole. That's definitely, there are a lot of films, especially from the 1970s, that people look back on with distance and they're like, oh, that was so good. And it's like, your memory's kind of screwing with you on this one. Like, Rollerball's got some interesting concepts, and it's definitely that whole dystopian future thing going on, but it's not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. It's it's sort of like when I watched Logan's Run, and it's like everybody talks about Logan's Run, everybody loves Logan's Run, and I'm like, yeah, the concepts behind Logan's Run are pretty cool, but that movie isn't particularly good. No, it's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's
I just always think it's weird. I mean, he hasn't made any movies for a really long time, but like there were those two back to back that he made, which were remakes of Norman Jewison movies.
What was the other one?
Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I mean, technically, I guess because 13th Warrior was delayed for so long, another movie which got butchered by the studio. Like that. I mean, they pulled a solo on that one, and I think it was Michael Crichton who actually stepped in and redirected a lot of that movie uncredited.
For what it's worth, I haven't seen it in many years, but I remember seeing 13th Warrior in the theater, and my brother and I both enjoying it a great deal and saying that was actually pretty good. It's
okay. It's weird because it came out like a week after Thomas Crown Affair, so I always thought like that's so cool that he's got two movies coming out like a week apart. But like I remember seeing, and that was in August of '99. I remember seeing the trailer for, at the time, Eaters of the Dead on Titanic. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Titanic. It was Tomorrow Never Dies. It came out the same week as Titanic in December of '97. So that movie was in the works for a while,
It's interesting because I guess McTiernan has a fairly storied career in terms of troubled productions.
Yeah.
So what is it that worked for him? Because Die Hard with a Vengeance, the changed ending from the original is a mistake. But you have Predator, which is an action classic from the 80s. You have Die Hard, which is an action classic from the 80s. You have Die Hard with a Vengeance, but
Hunt for Red October, don't forget about that.
Oh, that's right. I did forget about it. Hunt for Red October. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you like this? That's a pretty serious stumble, because the thing is, Last Action Hero happened before Die Hard 3. So Die Hard 3 was like, okay, yeah, he's back in the saddle. He's got it.
Last Action Hero was 93. Yeah, so that was before Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance was, what was that, 95?
95, 96? Yeah. I think it was 95. I mean, he had some duds in there in between, like Medicine Man, right?
That was okay. That was, I mean, it wasn't, I didn't find it bad. I found it interesting enough to make up for some of its flaws, you know?
But like Thomas Crown Affair, I mean, that doesn't get any credit, but that movie's excellent. I think that's one of his best.
You're right.
And then, you know, I think his last movie was Basic, and that movie was good too.
Oh, that's right, with Travolta, right?
Yeah, and Sam Jackson, right?
Yes, that was good, and it has a really good turn in it too.
It's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like kind of like a Rashomon thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's too bad that he's not making movies anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess once you, what did he go to jail for? Tax evasion,
wiretapping, or something like that.
Why? What? I don't get it, man.
It sounds like a whole. I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but I know that there was like kind of like a plea from a number of people saying like he should have never gone to jail for this. You know, this is not. I don't know any specifics about any of it, but I think a lot of people feel like he was kind of made an example of or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, you know, but
yeah, you know, that'd be interesting to see a John McTiernan Star Wars movie.
That would be cool.
Oh no, you know what? You want to bring him back into the fold? Have him do a Marvel movie.
I see. I don't know if I want I want to see him do some sort of like, you know, mid-level action movie. You know, I mean, like Predator. I mean, I don't particularly like Predator, but you know. Even that, his sci-fi movie, it's like based on Earth, you know? It's like just in the jungle. Yeah. Like, I like the idea that he's like really good at like action and not so much like the crazy CGI stuff. But
I think that with, you know, although actually, because I'm thinking about it, because we're sitting here, we're talking about his classics and we're talking about Predator and Trouble Productions and everything. That's right. Predator actually had a different creature design than Jean-Claude Van Damme in the suit originally.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was in the suit?
That is what I have read for many years, because there are shots that have gotten out, or maybe they're on some release and I just don't own the release or whatever, but I've seen pictures of the alternate creature design that they were shooting with, supposedly. And every time I've seen it, they say JCVD was in the suit. And then they swapped everything out because the original creature design's pretty weak, actually.
He's not in the finished movie.
No.
Okay.
No, as I understand it, no, because the suit looks completely different, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is shorter than the creature turned out being. Although I can say that I have been in the presence of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was stunned by the fact that he was not bigger than he was.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful or anything, but it was one of those things where it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's kind of short. Yeah. You know, like, it was like, I was like, oh, he's my height. Oh, okay. Because you just get this image in your brain that he's, you know, like a 6.5 foot tall behemoth. That you know, Conan the Barbarian sort of thing going on. It's like, no, he's just a really fit, normal sized guy. Okay,
that seems to be like a thing with like actors compared to like athletes who you look at them and you're like, oh, okay, like, oh, look at how tiny that guy is, and you see him in real life and he's still taller than you are, you know, whatever.
Yes, yeah, but you're like standing at his shoulder, and
there is one more McTiernan movie which he made, you know. His very first movie. It was Nomads with Pierce Brosnan. It's a pretty good movie.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, a French anthropologist specialized in research of nomadic groups moves to Los Angeles with his wife and starts following a group of sinister street punks who seem to live and move around in a black van, but they aren't what they seem. It's kind of a weird...
Fingers crossed for vampires. Are they vampires?
No, I don't think so. But there is some sort of like weird thing going on there. I don't know. It's kind of got like a but it's good. It's good.
Oh.
I recommend it.
So that was his first film. How many films had he done before he got to Predator?
That was the year before Predator. So
Really?
yeah, it was Nomads, Predator, Die Hard, Hunt for Red October, Medicine Man, Last Action Hero, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Thomas Crown Affair, 13th Warrior, Rollerball, and Basic. That's it.
Huh. Well, it's a good career, man.
Yeah.
It's a good career.
Yeah.
For sure. So, yeah. Well, if anybody wants to discuss McTiernan's career or anybody else's career or Billy Dee Williams coming back with you, where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Mumbles3K, and you can also find me on my website, filmdamagepod.com, doing a show called Film Damage,
where his co-host ponders murder. And you can find me online at Kessel Junkie on Twitter, and you can find me right here on the network co-hosting Aggressive Negotiations with Matthew Rushing, or out there, Words with Nerds with my pal Craig. So thank you for joining us this week, and until next week, the balcony is closed.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.